All right, welcome to another stock market update. Today is September 4th, 2017. Hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Let's take a look at the market here. On the screen is the S&P 500, the VIX, and the New York Stock Exchange accumulative advanced decline. Remember last week in the video, we were talking about that the advanced decline gave a little bit of a positive divergence comparing to the S&P 500, and based on that, we're expecting a bounce was short, was in the offing fairly shortly. But before that, we're also looking for a little bit more of a pullback and possibly down to this 2400 level before it give us the bounce. But just like everything else, one could not predict when things will happen and what will cause things to happen. And as it turned out, on Monday, after Monday's close, the North Korean launched another missile, and that prompted the sell-off on the the E-mini S&P 500 futures in the overnight session. And it pulled back down to the level somewhere around 2420 area, but never got close to that 2400 that we're looking at. But lo and behold, though, when the morning session opened, the S&P 500 cash index just put in a low. I believe it was 2426 or something like that. But we'll take a look at that in a little bit more detail later on. And it just rallied back up, and ever since that Tuesday morning open, the market just been rallying upward, and we do expect, based on the advanced decline line here, as you can see, that the advanced decline actually made a new high on Friday, but the S&P 500 is still a little bit below its all-time high. So we expect the S&P 500 at least come up and test this all-time high, if not put in a new all-time high in the near future. So we're just going to keep an eye on that until we see some sign of deterioration before we even saying that the market is going to give us a substantial or a meaningful correction. Not this one day dip. I mean, it's not even a one day pullback. It's basically an overnight pullback, and that's it. Man, are we getting short on these correction, huh? Well, anyway, the VIX is still above 10. It's still at the low level, fairly low level, and that's why I think the market still have a little bit more upside to go. And if we take a look at this, let me put up the other chart before we come back and talk about the Dow Jones Industrial. And look at this chart on all the indexes. You can see that the Nasdaq Composite actually closed at a new all-time high on Friday, and the Nasdaq 100 closed at a new all-time high on Thursday. But all the other, they are still a little bit distant away from its all-time high, and the Russell did come back up fairly nicely, but it's still a little bit away from the all-time high. Again, we talk about that a little bit more in more detail later on in this video here. Take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial. If you look at the Friday candle, it actually gave us a shooting star type of a day, and that kind of flagged us to be a little bit more cautious again on a potential short-term pullback here, and we probably see a pullback at least back to this 21,912 area. Just a little bit short-term pullback, and depending we'll be able to hold that support, and we might see it to come back down to this 21,600 and get a little bit of a bounce. Again, we see that there is this little bit of a trend line here, so we might get a pullback down to this trend line just between the 21,800 and 21,700 area, and we might get a bounce back up. And again, this pivot high here is the key level to watch. If we could take out the 22,085.70, then we could start monitoring the all-time high for possible retest and possible put in a new all-time high. So that's the Dow Jones Industrial. And if we just quickly take a look at the monthly chart here, as you can see that the monthly chart, it is still trending nicely within this channel here that started back in March 2009. So the trend is still up, okay? And so let's take a look at the transportation. The transportation, likewise, it did have a nice close month on August, up month. It is trying to come back up to newest all-time high area. So, and looking at the daily, the daily, we also got a little bit of a shooting star type of candle after Thursday, indecisive neutral candle here. So again, we might see a little bit pullback and possibly come back down and retest this 9,111 area here. Okay. And then if we take a look at the S&P 500, let's take a look at the 500. Start off with the monthly. Again, looking at the monthly, is still trending within that nice channel that started back in March 2009. Although in August, it finished with a little bit of a hangman doji. So we might see a little bit of a pullback, weakness for the month of September. But we might not see that weakness to come about until after maybe a test of the all-time high and put in a new all-time high. But we'll see. Right. So again, it's give us a little bit of a weaker candle. It's not as weak as the Dow Jones. It is a little bit of a shooting star type of or inverted hammer, type of candle here. Right, Thursday was a strong day, so it's you see on Thursday here, on Tuesday, it came down in the morning open, and it came down to this low. I believe it was 24.26. Let me see what that value is. Yeah, the low was 24.28.2. Okay, so once you get that, then it just came back up, and matter of fact, it closed up for the day. Okay. And you see that just keep on going up. So right now it overtook this pivot high. Remember we were talking about if we could take out this pivot high, then we'll probably be looking at the possibility of the all-time high, or testing the all-time high and possibly put in the new all-time high. So we might get a little bit pullback to this 24.52.8.46 before we get another push into this all-time high and possibly put in a new all-time high. Okay, so that's the thing that we'll probably be looking at. And if we take a look at this SPY, the ETF, and looking at the SPY, so on the some of the level that I'm watching on the SPY here is essentially this all-time high, but the pullback again is 246.13. Okay, somewhere around this level here. Right, and you can see also put in here a little bit of a major move. Remember we were talking, like this here is more like a sort of a W type of pattern. And if we take this this swing here and project it up here, you see this is Friday. The high is pretty close to hitting that that major move. Let me see what that high is. That high is 248.33. I mean, 2 cents above that high. The 100% major move is 248.31. So with this little bit of a bearish type of candle, we'll probably see a little pullback in the coming week, and maybe pull back down to this 246 area, and might even come back and retest these lows here. Right, these low here. Not too confident that it could pull back to this 240 next week. I mean this coming week, but never know. Anything is possible, right? So, but the level that I'll be watching, I think the first level of support is 246.13, then possibly back down to these low here, the 242.93, 241.83, essentially the 242 and 243, right? So those are the low that I'll be watching for the coming week. Okay? And then of course on the upside, then we'll be talking about the new high, and if it continue to push into the new high, so essentially I got the Fibonacci retracement extension here, so 127 will be to 50.84, and that will bring the S&P 500 into that 2500 level. And if we take a look at going back to that S&P 500 chart here, right? And if we take a look at this, up on this upper channel here, right, we're essentially talking about maybe somewhere around 25, 30-ish, right, for the month of September, if it could come up and tag this trend line on this channel here, the upper trend line. Okay, so and if we take a look at the NASDAQ 100, the NASDAQ 100 again, you can see that it's still trending nicely within this rising channel, just like all the other indexes, although it has been hugging this upper trend line here for a while, right? But if we take a look at the daily, see the daily on Friday, we actually got a little bit of a reversal candle here, right? Sort of like a hangman bearish type of candle, and we could expect it to come back down a little bit more, maybe come back down to retest this these pivot level here and possibly come down to this 58.47. So we just keep an eye on that. But definitely I think there's still a little bit more upside after it might after make a little bit of a pullback. And then we got this little trend line here. So it all depends where you draw the trend line. Trend line is just a little bit of an arbitrary thing, right? So but it just kind of give you some, basic region to kind of keep an eye on the price action when it get to a certain point. Okay, so that's the NASDAQ 100, and if we take a look at the QQQ, is ETF. So again, we essentially looking for this thing to pull back and maybe to that 143.35 level down here. And again, if I have a low projection that if it's going to go up, then we're basically looking at maybe 148.72 or possibly 150 at a 141 extension. And if we get to the 1618, then it'd be 152. So again, we're basically looking to see what it give us a little bit of a pullback before it pushes up there, okay, to those Fibonacci extension level. Okay. And if we take a look at the Russell 2000, again, let's go and take a look at the monthly, on the monthly chart again, just like all the other indexes that we have been looking at, still trending nicely on this rising price channel, and nothing really have changed. Okay, you see that pullback on the month of August closed down a bit, but certainly way off its low of the month. Right? So we'll see what September will bring, because it did get a nice bounce last week. You could see, ever since that it came down to this 1350 area, and it just came up very nicely here, and it's been one time framing up. Most of the time here. So right now we're basically looking at the possibility of coming up to 1426.30, or it might pull back to this 1396.90, maybe in this and it could come down to this price channel, and then before get a little bit of a bounce. And it is lagging from all the other major market indexes, because it is still pretty far away from the from its all-time high. Okay. And if we take a look at the IWM, okay, similarly with the cash index, you can see that we are basically looking for this thing to come up, maybe take out this level here, 141.76 area, and maybe come up and tag this 144.25. If it pull back, we're looking at this 139.01 as the first level of support, and then maybe the trend line here, this lower trend line, the price channel, and possibly come back and retest this 134.23. Okay, so those are the indexes, and let's quickly run through on some of the stock. Let's take a look at Apple. Okay. And looking at Apple here, let me okay, we'll see that Apple came up and put in a new all-time high last week. Remember we were saying that once take out the all-time high, then we're basically looking at continuation of higher level. We see this possibility of extending up to this 167 on 1618. But again, I think with the price action, we could see a little bit of a pullback, back to possibly retest this area here, this 160 area. And if can't hold that 160, we could come back and not necessarily trying to fill this gap here, maybe test this pivot high here of this 154 area. Okay, but if it continue to move up, then we're essentially looking at maybe the next level will be this 165 to 167 area. Okay, although we did see a little bit of a reversal candle on Friday, so maybe that's a little bit indication of near-term pullback is forthcoming. Okay. And then if we take a look at Facebook, again, we're basically looking at this thing to take out these pivot high, right? And right now it's coming up to this 173.05. If we could take out that, then most likely we'll see the all-time high in play right now. But also have a couple of support zone here, so those are the level that I'll be watching for potential support, and then see what the price action is when they get there. To see does it present itself with some trade location for either long or short. But usually, on the support, you're basically looking for some sort of a long setup to play for the bounce. Okay. And then Netflix also had a nice bounce. We're expecting, or at least I was expecting, for this thing to pull back to this area here, to completely fill this gap. But as you can see, it did not. On Tuesday, it came down. Tried to come down, but it found buyers and it just pushes back up. So right now we got a back-to-back, a little bit of a bearish candle here. Narrow range candle, trying to get into this, fill this gap. So wouldn't be surprised to see this thing kind of pull back a little bit, maybe come and test this area, maybe possibly that 171, 170-ish area before it try to get into this, fill this gap. Then if it pushes up and fill this gap, the level of resistance or the target level that I'll be looking at will be 185 area. Okay, before taking a look at the all-time high up here of 191.50. And then looking at Amazon, Amazon also have an interesting week. We're looking for this thing to pull back to this level here, so you can see that it didn't get down to this support zone here, but did bounce off, and seems like it's trying to make a approach to this this particular resistance zone here between this 996 and 992. So we'll see what it be able to come up to this level here, and then make a run at this this gap and possibly to its all-time high. But looking at the monthly candle, I'm not that encouraged that it will, because you see this July candle is really pretty ugly topping candle here, and then on in August we got this little hammer type of candle, although it's come up, but it is a more of a bearish type of hammer. So wouldn't be surprised to see a continuation on the downside here on Amazon. Okay. And then taking a look at Google, we see Google came down and got a nice bounce off of this 918 area, and right now it might be trying to push into that 969 area here. But again, I'd be looking for this thing maybe come back down to retest, at least retest this level here, down at this pivot high. Okay, and if we take a look at using the little bit of a measurement 2 here, and we take a look at this as a W pattern, then we'll see that the 100% retracement will be up at this 969, or here is 971. So expect this this resistance level to be a potential target if we continue to move up, because then this would give this this little bit of a W, or even a trading band major move, right? This major move here, okay, as a target. But if reverses now, then we're basically looking at this 918.60, okay, as a support, and if we break that, then we look for 893 38 for the next level of support. Okay, so and let's take a look at gold. Remember I said that I even tweeted, I think gold still got a little bit more to go, especially when we saw gold book this long-term multi-year trend line, right? You know, this long-term trend line here, and that's kind of bullish, and we're basically looking at this GOD possibly come up to this 130 area, and so we basically are looking for gold to continue to move up, and here are some of the other level of resistance, potential target level 128.20 and 129.26. Okay, so if it come down, look for the first level support is 124.76, and then possibly get down to this gap here at 122.74. So watch this particular trend line here. Essentially, that's what we will see how it react when it get down to this trend line and some of these key pivot level. Okay, so let's go and quickly take a look at a few of the ETF with the gold miner, and here are the GDX, the gold miner ETF, and essentially we're looking at this particular trading band, or you can look at this as a W or whatever. Okay, so so this right here, major move, project up here, essentially get up to this 2571 here. So you can see that it kind of bumping up against this pivot high last week, the 2488, and put in a little bit of a hangman. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a consolidation here before it pushes through and possibly come up and test that 2571 here. All right, so basically we're looking for a continuation move to higher level. If it pull back, then this would be the level of support that we're looking for at 2413 area. And here's the ETF for the junior gold miner, and you look at this right here. Also, again, we're essentially looking at this trading band breakout, right? And right now the major moves up here. So essentially get into the gap fill here, somewhere around 38.57 would be the potential target here. And then the Barrick Gold ABX, or the gold miner, and kind of basically it booked due, right? Book above this. You can look at this as a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder here, right? And then if you do a major move, that would also be up here at this level, somewhere around 1950. But there's a gap here, so look for these. Once it get above this 1821, then there might be a little bit of resistance here at 1869. Okay, so that's basically it for now. Hopefully had a great weekend and had a great last week, and good luck on your trading for the coming week. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, don't forget to click the thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber to this video, subscribe to my video channel. Thanks again for watching.